Hello everybody, welcome to Review a Day episode number 54 for Sunday, October the 5th, 2008. Hello everybody, welcome to Review a Day, the daily video blog where I review a movie 7 days a week. My name is Leland Brungart and thank you very much for joining me. And the film I'm going to review today is One Missed Call. This movie is directed by Eric Valette, who is a French film director, TV director. I believe this is the only American work he's done. The movie stars Shannon Sossamon and Ed Burns. This movie is where people get calls on their cell phones from dead people. Like a name pops up and they're like, oh, that's my dead friend. And they get a voicemail, and the voicemail is the person who gets the voicemail, it's them dying, basically. So they know exactly when they're going to die and what they're going to say. It's based on a Japanese novel or something like that. There's also a Japanese film, One Missed Call, which is directed by Takashi Miike, who's probably one of my all-time favorite horror directors. I by no means think that movie's a masterpiece. I think I would give it like a 3 out of 5. I think it's creepy, but it's not my favorite, and so I wanted to see how this one kind of held up. And I think, say what you want about movies like Hostel and Saw, people really are hard on them for being torture porn or something like that, but at least those films are original, and they're not remakes, and they're not just taking Japanese films and making them American. There's so many reasons why Japanese horror films are so fantastic, and I think one thing I really like about them is that they're incredibly unique and different. I think Japanese horror movies, and Asian horror movies for that matter, have more in common with our American indie films. They're little movies, they're quiet a lot of the time, there's a lot of atmosphere, they kind of push boundaries of gore and taboos and different things like that, and they really make you question things. And I think that this version of One Missed Call is such a perfect example of how they take a kind of interesting idea and just ruin it. And just take everything that was kind of cool about the original, and it's like horror by numbers. You know, I said indie by numbers one time, and it's like, this movie feels like it was written by studio execs. Like, we have to have so many scares per minute, and they just like put them in willy-nilly. I don't think, like I said, I don't think the original One Missed Call is a masterpiece. I think the idea of getting a call and hearing your own death is incredibly ridiculous, but the original was creepy, and if you don't have that, this movie isn't creepy, which I think is, if you take away the creepiness, it's like, what do you have left? You have this weird story that isn't really that interesting. This movie isn't creepy in the slightest. I would say about half the scares in this movie are jump scares. It's, you know, Shannon Sossamon creeping through a house and then like a doll scares her or someone, or her friend comes and basically says boo. And it wasn't even, they aren't that great. They don't work that well. The other half of the scares in this film come from CG effects, like people imagine like centipedes like climbing in and out of their skin, and there's like these weird people who look like ghosts, and it's not creepy. In the first 10 minutes of this movie, when you see the first girl die, basically that's what the entire movie is. It doesn't get any scarier. There's a really ridiculous scene where this girl goes on like a reality show basically, and everything goes really creepy. And the original One Missed Call, that was kind of the point when I was like, this movie's a little too ridiculous for me, but at least that was creepy. This one was just bad. There's the first time anyone gets a call, it's this girl at a party, and she looks at her phone and she's like, oh my god, it's so-and-so, you know, they're dead, and she gets a voicemail and she goes, that's creepy. And I was like, no, it's not. That's not creepy. If that happened, someone would say like, what the hell, that's weird. You know, no one would be like, oh my god, a ghost is calling me. Just because you say something is creepy doesn't mean it's creepy. Just because you're playing ominous music and someone's trying to like look around the corner doesn't build tension or suspense. It's such a lazy way to do it. And I felt like this movie was just spoon-feeding me everything. It was spoon-feeding me the idea of how technology is kind of killing us and how we rely so heavily on it. And that's kind of an interesting idea. I don't think it's done well here at all. I think if you want to watch a successful version of that, I would highly recommend watching the original Japanese version of the film. Pulse. They did another really bad American remake with Kristen Bell and Ian Somerhalder, which was bad. The original is very creepy, lots of atmosphere. It's fantastic, and it plays on these same kind of themes. I give this movie a 1 out of 5. I don't think it was scary, and it wasn't scary, so all we were left with was a boring story that did not carry it. If you guys are liking my reviews, make sure and subscribe. If you have any recommendations on any films you'd like to see me review, leave them in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.